Welcome to IAS Market Talk, your trusted source for timely ag market insights, brought to you by Innovative Ag Services. Each week, we break down the latest beef market trends impacting Northeast Iowa and Southwest Wisconsin, with expert updates tailored specifically for our IAS members. This week, you'll hear directly from Dave Rueber, IAS Beef Production Specialist, who brings decades of experience and deep knowledge of the cattle industry to these conversations. Dave has been providing market updates to producers for years, and now he's bringing those insights straight to you through this podcast. Tune in weekly for what you need to know straight from people you know. With that, here's Dave Rueber with the latest on what's happening in the cattle markets this week.
David Rueber, Beef Production Specialist for Innovative Ag Services, calling with a beef market commentary for May 20th. We'll start with a recap of last week. Higher fat cattle prices again. Mainly 265, once again a new record high. Seems like we go up $5 at a time anymore. That's the way it's been the last few weeks anyway. People have been selling cattle fairly aggressively, so show lists have been cleaned up pretty good. This week's had a little bit of negativity thrown at us. We got a cattle on feed report that's going to be coming on Friday that a lot of folks think that that's going to show more cattle on feed than a year ago. So maybe a chance at a little bit of a bearish on feed report Friday. Packer margins continue to struggle. They have had a little bump in the box beef price yesterday, but not enough. They're still $250 to $300 ahead in the red. So kind of a tough margin situation for Packers. They've got a Cargill plant out in Fort Morgan that has had a lockout. They're doing labor discussions on a new contract and basically not getting together at all. So there's a plant going to be shut down for don't know for sure how long that will be, but that's a little bit of negative news today. We've got Mexican beef supposed to be kind of coming in, not Mexican feeder cattle, Mexican beef. That's rolling in. So just a fair amount of negativity kind of thrown into this deal. There was some bids early in the week this week at 264 on just a handful of cattle. Then they dropped it down to 260 because the board was down hard today. It was down $3-4 at one point, kind of coming off the lows as of right now. Feels like we're going to be a little bit lower than last week, probably somewhere in that low 260s. Still a very good price tag, no doubt about it. A lot of folks are going to watch what that board does tomorrow, and see what we shake out at there. But, we got a short week next week with Memorial Day. I'm a believer of you want the long weekend to have good weather in the big population areas, so there's a lot of grilling going on. So watch that East Coast, West Coast weather and hope that you don't see a 2 or 3 day rainy stretch in those high population areas. That can have a big effect on what we see for grill out type movement. There is some concern that demand's starting to take a hit because of these high gas prices. You never know when demand is going down until after the fact. So something to keep an eye on. A lot of folks maybe haven't seen kind of our high for now. We'll see. Obviously, these are prices that were way better than anybody expected it to be. Feeder cattle prices, I'm kind of holding right in there. Good 8 weights will still be either side of 370. Anything that's 6 or lighter is going to be for sure in the low 4s, pushing 5 on those 5 weights. Some of those lightweight calves have softened up maybe a little bit as we get some of this pasture filled up, demand going off a little bit. Tough thing going forward, just don't have near the volume of feeder cattle. It just looks to me like we keep holding these feeder cattle values just because there isn't enough of them out there. So something to watch there. Just a handful of calf fed starting to get sold for pats. So that always kind of comes into play a little bit, but that's not a super big volume yet. So still good markets, maybe a tick softer than we had been, but still roll along pretty good. Cost of gains, corn market inching a little bit higher. It's off today, but it had a really good day 2 days ago. Probably just a smidge over $1 on steers, $1.678, on those heifers for cost of gain because we're making them so much bigger. So something else to kind of watch there. A lot of these closeouts have been, decent here because they caught this up in the market. Those cattle that we bought in November, as feeder cattle, they're going to have some good break-evens going forward. So we'll see some solid stuff. Keep moving some cattle through at good prices, but don't sell 100 pounds light either. That last 100 pounds is pretty crucial. Once again, my name is David Rueber, Beef Production Specialist for Innovative Ag. Thank you.
That's it for this week's episode of IAS Market Talk. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an update. And if you know a fellow producer who could benefit from this information, share this episode with them. For more updates and insights, visit innovativeag.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We'll catch you next time on IAS Market Talk.
Are you ready for a hands-on role with purpose? Join the facility operations team at Innovative Ag Services, where we value hard work, safety, and community. With locations across Northeast and Central Iowa and Southwest Wisconsin, we offer industry-leading benefits, on-the-job training, and a culture that supports your growth. From competitive pay to a uniform allowance, we invest in our team. Grow with IAS and discover your co-opportunity. Apply today at innovativeag.com.